Okay, let's have a straight up real conversation about I don't even know if I can say the word on YouTube, but the procedure that takes place when a woman decides she no longer wants to be pregnant. Let's really get into it. Let's have a real conversation on different levels about this. Watch the video in its entirety. Okay? But one thing I want to talk about is something that I like to call pimping people's pain, right? I think people need to stop politicizing that procedure, that particular procedure, associating it with Democratic or Republican, or if you forward you. Let me go ahead and make this clear. I'm not a Democrat or Republican, just so people know, once watching the video. But let's talk about pimping people's pain, right? Whether you're a woman, whether you black, whether you white, whether you rich, whether you poor, this and that, thus and so, right? This is what people need to be aware of. And we're going to really talk about this. Sometimes you may have a legitimate issue, right? Like say, I'm a black man, right? You have this particular issue is is relating to women with pregnancy and stuff like that, right? And women will probably, and rightfully so, say just in generally speaking, whether it's this, whether it's with something else. I think some women would say there's an issue as far as inequality in relation to women, right? Now look, that can be a legitimate, real issue right there. Just anybody pain can be pimped, because you can have a legitimate issue, whether it's a women's rights issue, whether it's a race issue, or whatever. Now this is the pimping of the pain part. What someone can do is attach their agenda to your pain, your real legitimate issue. And if you're not really, and if you're thinking with your pain instead of thinking for yourself, you can spearhead their agenda, because they attach their agenda to your real legitimate issue. You can spearhead their agenda without even realizing it. How does this relate to the procedure that takes place when a woman decides that she no longer wants a kid, right? First, yeah, so we're gonna show some video clips of certain people, of a certain person talking and stuff like that. We're gonna get into some things. Okay, if you know anything about the origins of Planned Parenthood, because Planned Parenthood is like, heavily associated with that procedure in America. It's like one of the faces of that procedure in America. So if you know anything about Planned Parenthood, and some people might, you may be familiar with Margaret Sanger, right? Now, this is somebody who helped found Planned Parenthood, who didn't believe that certain people should even be able to have kids. Yeah, she believes certain people shouldn't be able to reproduce, whether you was handicapped, whether like she said, if you gonna be a delinquent or a felon or stuff like that, right? She believed that certain people shouldn't be allowed to even reproduce, right?
I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically, delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things, just marked when they're born.
The very fact that she would tell a woman, don't have that kid. If the woman says, I don't care if my child may come out handicapped, or my child may not come out handicapped, or if you feel like that child is going to be a delinquent or isn't worthy to be born, I want to have my child. She would tell that woman, I don't think you should have that child. That right there is not a woman's right to choose, right? So this is somebody that you're dealing with. This is not like a woman's rights issue. This is somebody. So, this agenda is attached to what they dress up as women's rights. What? Now, this is the origin of the woman who helped found Planned Parenthood, right? That ain't got nothing to do with women's rights, right? But they're attached. That agenda is attached to women's rights. And since women's rights can be a real issue, women will jump on it and say, oh yeah, you know what, that's right. Yeah, a woman's rights, woman by this. But look, don't stop associating that procedure with women's rights. Right? And now look, to take it a step further, and let's show the clip. Let's watch this next clip.
Former Planned Parenthood clinic director Abby Johnson said Sanger's philosophy endures at the US-based abortion group. Margaret Sanger is a known eugenicist whose legacy is built on racism. Even though Planned Parenthood is moving to separate themselves from Sanger's name, her influence on the abortion giant remains at its core.
My name is Abby Johnson, and I spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood, but today I'm a pro-life activist.
Planned Parenthood of Greater New York is removing the name of pioneering birth control advocate Margaret Sanger from its clinic in Lower Manhattan. The group says that Sanger has long provoked controversy because of her support for eugenics, a movement to promote selective breeding that often targeted people of color and the disabled. Sanger was one of the founders of Planned Parenthood of America more than a century ago. The clinic on Bleecker Street in Soho will now be known as the Manhattan Health Center.
Planned Parenthood say they disassociating themselves because Margaret Sanger believed in eugenics, right? But the actual movement that she started, you're still pushing. You can say, oh, we don't want to have nothing to do with her, or you're still doing her movement. What is that, right? Now, if you say, oh no, that movement that she started, we're doing away with that movement. I mean, look at what this lady was about. You're going to say, oh, we're going to push the founder of it out the side, but still practice what she believed. What is that? Let's be straight up real about what this is, right? It's no one, because this is one of the things you hear in relation to that procedure, right? It's not a fully formed human being, for example. But I would say that I don't think no one really judged life, whether someone is fully formed or not. And I think proof of that is if you go to a funeral, you have a fully formed person, boy, girl, man, or a woman, fully formed. The reason why you can put that fully formed human being into the ground and nobody objects or says against the law, you need to call the police or this and that and doesn't so, is because they would tell you, oh, that fully formed person, that fully formed body no longer has life in it. It's no longer living. That's why it's okay to put it into the ground. I think that's proof that people don't really judge life based off whether someone is fully formed or not, if we being real. Another thing, right? When a woman decides to have that procedure to no longer have that child, that life that is in them, right? The very reason for having a procedure is to stop that life from continuing on. Because if you don't, this is what'll happen. That life will start developing fingers, hands, toes. That life would eventually be born. That life, when it's born, it won't have teeth, it won't be able to talk, it won't be able to do anything for itself. But if you let that life continue to live, that life will get teeth. It'll grow taller, it'll start going to school, it'll become a teenager, it'll go on and get married, it'll have kids, it'll become a grandmother or a grandfather, right? It'll retire at 65 or 70 years old. It'll keep it, that life process started when that egg got fertilized. That's the beginning of the life process. Like I say, the whole procedure is to stop the life process. So I say that so you can just have a real honest viewpoint of what it is, the stopping of a life. No doubt. It's the stop. That's the whole purpose of doing it, to stop the life process. So, don't be deceived into thinking that it's not the taking of a life, right? Another thing, society in America it's like it's decaying. You hear me talk about it in other videos, like legal sex crimes, the legal child prostitution in a certain state in America. But this is an example of the moral decay of America. This too, this procedure right here. Think about, because listen to this. Now, this might sound like so what to some people because of how normalized and how deep the decay has become. If somebody, think about it, somebody is telling someone, here, take this pill, do this, lay down here, do this, do that. What am I doing that for? Oh, we're going to make sure that child life, that we're going to take it. That really should be like, what you talking? I'm not taking, to do what? You want me to take this to stop the life that my child from coming? Are you serious? That's really what should be the response. But then they got so normalized and they got attached to certain agendas. You know what I mean? Got people to spearhead it and it's pimping people's pain. And when you really think, and on this channel, you hear me talk about being intentional and purposeful with your sex drive in the first place. Because a lot of those procedures takes place for people really just being irresponsible sexually. Now something has come about that requires some responsibility, and a lot of people just don't want to do it. So it got normalized to just snuff the life out. That's what it is. You know, I did something. Look, let's be real. This ain't me trying to tell nobody what to do with their body. This is saying, is it really right to snuff a life out because somebody, two people, not just a woman, two people, or the man, because a dude tried to encourage a woman to get an abortion too. Two people laid down, got together, right? No, this is how life starts when two people do that. And then when life starts, say, let's just go ahead and off them. That's just people not want to be responsible.